everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com, and I am back with another energetically channeled celebrity musician rapper video. This is a very requested video. Like, everybody emails me about this young rapper who was born on June 18th of 1994, making him a Gemini. I do not have a real birth time for him, as in an authenticated birth time, but I do know that he, regardless of what time he was born on that day, is a Libra moon. So he's a Gemini Libra moon, and he's got a Mercury in Cancer retrograde, which is a spiritual focus, but he's got Venus in Leo and Mars in Taurus. Now, we have Mars and Pluto aspects, we have transiting Uranus, we have Pluto conjuncting the South Node, we have the transiting North Node hitting his Mars in Taurus along with Uranus. Sudden, unexpected death. But was it? Because the first thing I get from him is the wording. Ask them about the after party, after the party. The party, after the party. After this life, after the party. So that's what I kept hearing. I mean, I keep hearing that, okay? So I could not find his time of birth. Drives me crazy. I looked up his face and looked up the eyes, okay? Because I know he wears sunglasses. I wear sunglasses on my head. I never wear them on my eyes. He wears them on his eyes. So it's just like a fashion statement for a lot of things. Like, a lot of people like cool sunglasses. They like to wear them. It gives them a certain vibe. I get all that. But when I see his eyes, what I see is the energy of kindness and intuition with discernment. Okay, so I see all of those things. And when I look at it, and I see it really strong. And I'm sorry, I got to say this. He kind of wants to be referenced. They wanted me to be a caricature of myself. They wanted me to be a cartoon. I didn't want to be a cartoon after the party. Okay, so I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to keep saying it because that's what I do. I put Cancer Ascendant on his chart. That's how I see him. I was really trying to decide whether it would be Saturn in the 12th coming over the first house in Pisces, because he has watery eyes, but it's a cardinal look through the eyes. When I look at it, there's a certain look to anybody with strong Cancer planets, and it's very discerning. So they can like look right through you, but not in a Scorpio way. Not like I'm going to kill you look through you. It's more like I can see you. I know you. Intuition, discernment kind of look. That's how I see his energy. Very discerning. So he was the one in his group, Migos, the three amigos, a play on the word, I'm assuming. He was the one who had discernment for certain things. So there's a little bit of I'm being pushed out front. I'm the leader of the pack. Not necessarily a Cancer trait, but when I look and put Cancer on the ascendant, his Venus in Leo pops out, okay? So Mars in Taurus, Venus in Leo, Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer, photographic memory. Retrograde, spiritual focus, okay? So memory with a spiritual focus, remembering who I am on a spiritual level. Very important. Now, I'm just going to jump right into it. On the day that he passed, November 1st of 2022, he literally came off the heels of Halloween. Being dead serious. That's a huge, huge sacrificing date on the calendar. I know we dress our kids up. We go beg for candy. Even I beg for candy. I understand all of that. But in this particular instance, the timing I find very suspect. I also am hearing the wording with this young man that I know the numbers played out. My numbers were played out after the party. My numbers were played out after the party. I have no idea what that means. I go two ways in my head. I go to gambling and I literally go to the numbers, like the numbers of time, the numbers of the clock, the timing, the numerology, the timing, the numbers. So I go those two ways with the energy. Now, here is what I know for sure. This young man, as he was building his career, which was planned for him very early on. And I hear the words, I'm sorry, to his mom. Like, I hear that very strong, which just cements the fact that I think he had Cancer prominent on the ascendant in his chart. I'm hearing the words to say he's sorry because I literally feel like he was warned. And I'm just going to go straight out and say this. So I literally feel like he was warned that his life was in danger. And I feel like he knew it immediately. Okay. And I'm talking going back 4 years. I don't know how long that band was climbing up the ladder and becoming band, rap group, was climbing up the ladder and becoming famous. Okay, I'm not sure when they started, but I feel it's back in his youth. And I feel like he was warned. The family was set up, the group of them, and I don't necessarily feel that they're related. For some reason, the energies are different between the band members, but people say they're related, uncles, cousins, whatever. I don't feel that actually. I don't actually feel that. Now, what I think is he was, I'm going to use the word targeted as a child to play this role because of the way that his energy frequency was. So who is they? People will say to me, who do you mean they? They in the record industry, the executives, they who control the musicians, put the musicians out front and center, the ones that run the music business could see his energy. But I'm speaking on a metaphysical level. I feel like they were using him and his band and his group. I feel they were using these rappers to change the frequency. Now, this is weird. To extract consciousness, the conscious thoughts of the listeners to this music and put it into a cartoon shell. It's really weird. The energy around him is showing me a cartoon, a sketch pad, drawing the cartoon, popping it off the paper and using the energy, okay, from the people watching the cartoon, listening to the music to move the consciousness in a different direction. This band was slated to come in the in-between, okay, the in-between, and Quincy knows. I think we know who we're talking about here. I've been hearing that name since people asked me to do the energy on this, but Quincy knows. So I feel like this was a setup. I'm going to totally switch gears here and say I feel like this was a setup. Okay, so as I'm walking into the party, everybody's excited, everybody's cool. I'm invited to a party. It's a celebration. It's cool. It's fun. It's a thing. I'm invited to the party. I want to go to the party. However, why are you all inviting me to the party? What is this party really about? What are we doing here? And the person who shot me isn't the person who murdered me. The person who shot me isn't the person that murdered me. Obviously, the person who shot him is the person who murdered him because they took the physical action with the weapon to do so, but they're not the ones that murdered me. Not the ones, more than one. So this was a group effort to remove this young man off the planet. And he's very young. I mean, stop killing people, y'all. Just stop it. I mean, we know the society, but I feel there's more than one person that orchestrated this. And I feel like there's so much confusion and the time was up. My numbers were up. They called my number. My numbers were up. Sounds like I'm talking about like literally going to the racetrack and the numbers up. Ding, 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 numbers up. He would not go into the next part of the contract. So I really believe that he reneged on something he had agreed to do. This is the way it feels to me. He reneged on something. So he had said, yeah, I'll go forward with that. And then, no, I don't want to do that. I actually want to go over here. I want to live my life. I want to do this. There's a woman involved in going to the party. I'm going after the party. There's a woman involved. I'm going to see a woman. A woman is talking to me. She's befriending me. I don't really know her well, but she's talking to me. This is kind of a setup with this, getting him in the right position with enough people around in order to harness that energy. It's kind of that type of a thing. Now, immediately, he's showing me like an electric cord that gets pulled out of the wall. Let's say you're, I don't know why I'm going to say this, demoing a house. They demo the house and the electric cord pops out of the wall because everything's flying everywhere and it scoots through the air. This is how he's showing me he crossed over. He literally scooted out very quickly and suddenly flew out of the area. Now, I feel like this is protection when he passed over, crossed out. He definitely aware of who was mourning him at his funeral and who was pretending to mourn him. That's the wording that's coming through. So he fucking can see you and knows that you weren't sincere. Don't think he can't see you. Don't think you're not going to get caught in the crossfires. I have no idea what the hell that means, but don't think you're not crosshairs, going to get caught in the middle of it, crossing the energy. What he's saying, and by saying I mean the energy I'm picking up when I'm asking in my head the question, is that he was double-crossed after the party. What the hell does that mean? After the party. He was double-crossed. The people at his funeral, very few of them were sincerely sad about his passing. They were observant of his passing. They acknowledged his passing. It's one more step. He struggled really hard with what I want to do in this life. I was groomed to be in this business, to be in this band, to do this. I was picked. 5 years old. 5 years old, I was picked. I was groomed. It was decided for me. This is something that was decided for him. I was groomed. I went into it. I wanted it. Who doesn't want that, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to be something, it's really nice to be a creative kind of thing. But they were taking his creations, switching the frequency up with it in order to connect to the consciousness. Okay, now, then what I'm seeing like a motorcycle ride down a road in a video game, dodging balls. So the rider on the bike is a video game. The video game is moving through, the computer. And I feel like they were literally trying to contractually force him into a video game and or a cartoon. I liked myself as a cartoon, drawn as a cartoon. I actually feel this, I'm going to say this, I actually feel that when he crossed out, they tried to capture him to put the essence of who he was into a game or make a game of it. Not sure what that is. Also, when he crossed out of his body, I can see you. I can see you. He was turning a blind eye to them in life, but he could see them. So when he died, he was actually able to see these people that put the word out that he was supposed to leave planet Earth early. Put that word out. My number's up. 3 of you dudes on the other side. 3 of you. He could see you. And it was all orchestrated by higher ups. So really, really, really truthfully on Earth, I really believe it's about money. That's what I believe. I believe everything and anything is either about money or like you slept with someone's baby mama. I don't think that's the case in his case, but I do feel a woman came into his life and tried to get information and ammunition on him. And this would be in the past 6 months of his life. And this was somebody that he might have hung out. He liked to kind of get to know people in their environment. So like if you met him, let's say you're at a diner and you're on tour and you met him, he would like to ground into your life and hear about it. Like he enjoyed that kind of stuff. So he had a sensitivity and he had to be able to feel you, to trust you. So this woman was in his life just newly and she was part of it. So there's a chattering woman that is part of what happened to him. And people know because he saw them out of their bodies. They were playing. So when he's around, there's the people that are around him at the after party in the physical, like people you could see and witnesses could see and all of that. And then there's the people spying on him from the astral level. I'm getting such a high-pitched freaking sound in my ear right now. So they don't want me talking about it, I guess. There was the people on the astral level watching him. And this goes back in time. Back. They've been watching him for about 2.5 years. So I think there might have been some kind of contractual discrepancy. Some kind of contractual discrepancy going back about 2.5 years with him. Okay. And I feel like he wasn't seeing the people around him clearly because he was trying to detach from them without causing waves. Libra moon. They're going to get you every time. Trying not to cause waves caused a big, huge wave. He kind of shows me like waves, like frequency, and I'm trying to get back from them. I really feel like he was delving into a different kind of music and that people didn't really understand what he wanted to do. And then he backed out of a contract like 2.5 years before. There's the female. She's twisting shit and talking behind his back because she's been sent in to meet him to do that. Okay. So Men, don't allow that. Women, don't allow that, because this is like some kind of deceptive thing to go in and get information, what he's really planning, thinking that if he opens up to this woman or she opens up to him, he's going to blah, blah everything to her. But he didn't. He didn't. He kept it to himself, and he didn't. There's a young, and I don't know if he had kids. I kind of think he didn't, but there's a young male, and I'm going to use the word relative, very close to him, young. This kid is young, like 10 years or younger, that there's concern on his end for this young man. And he says a lot of times they take people in, they foster kids, they do stuff like this in order, and he's talking about in his community, not the general, like, governmental thing. I'm not talking about that. In the neighborhood, because it's already known that these kids and these people together are going to be created into this. They're already being pushed out there for this. I feel like that. That's why they connect and they come together, because it's their energies that are like this, and they're able to push the agenda, whatever that agenda is. And I don't really understand what it is myself. I do feel he was in the process of taking his creative work in a different direction, working specifically with light, sound, and frequency. And I'm being serious. It has nothing to do with rap. It may be called music under a certain genre, but it has to do with light, music, frequency, all of those kinds of things. And I feel like he was doing this in a different way, separate from the band. And by the way, at his funeral, everybody's boo-hooing, crying. He says, look at who wasn't, and look at who was very stoic face, which is a thing. I mean, if you go to a funeral, you can't always like express yourself, because it would be hysterical for some people. There was a lot of people there, and I'm hearing this word, bitch, you know who you are. And I think he's talking about a woman. Literally, that's why I think he's using that particular description. So there is a female that's close to another male that he's close with, and there's switching of the energy with that as well. So you're going to see these people unravel in this coming year. He was very shocked. Okay, so what he describes when he passed out of his physical body. Okay, so this is what I get. We've all seen the movie Ghost. We know when you leave the physical is over here. Your spirit body, etheric body is over here, or wherever it is. So because he was literally propelled out of his body, and they were trying to hit him, not just shoot him, like random. They were trying to hit specific areas of the body that would block him from being able to get traction and get above their energy on the astral. I literally get that. I have no idea how you do that. I don't even understand that. But what he shows me is like, when you're looking at the night sky as a kid, well, maybe it's my generation because the older people would get this, but when you're trying to look for stars in the sky and you would poke little holes in a piece of paper and try to look at that constellation in the dark, like when there was an eclipse through these little holes, and you would see these pinpoints of light. He's showing me like a triangle like this, saying they're trying to hit him like this, and they're trying to stop him from going in to where he needed to go, not the light, but where he needed to go. As he stepped out of his body, which he was pushed, boom, right away from the body, like literally shocked right out of it, like whoosh, far, far away, like that. He then had the vantage point of seeing the people looking at him through the window, but he was above them watching him look for him. So they don't quite know where he went. So these people on Earth, human beings, but they're not really human actually to do that. Or if they are, they've kind of been astral projecting out of their body. And these are executives and people, but three in particular. And one of them is really, really old, like late 70s, 80s. That's an old man, and there's two younger ones. And not from his band, by the way. These are other people. So these are like, it reminds me of men in suits. So these are like, the old guy is old, and he's kind of quirky. These two guys that I see looking, and it's like they're looking through a window, like we're trying to hear what you're saying. So we're spying on you, but they can't see his astral body. He can see them. So he knows they're connected. So he knows who you are. He can see. Sometimes when people are murdered or they're, you know, when something happens to them, takes them a while I'll use the movie Ghost as an example again. It took that character a while to figure out who did what. He had to observe and watch. Well, TakeOff can see you watching to see how he crossed out. He's like, how the fuck do you know that I'm up here because you're up here? And we're talking energy, vibration, okay? Through the veil, vibration. The veil is super thin around the time he died. We're talking Halloween and then November 1st, because I think it was in the early morning. So it was right after Halloween. Boom. Veil super thin, okay? Super thin, like cheesecloth paper. And they're watching for him to see where he's going because they're trying to contain him. He got out of that, by the way. He crossed out of that. I crossed right out. I feel like he wanted to go in a different direction in his life. I feel like he truly wanted to do something different with his life. He wanted to have something happen. He wanted to have a special life. He wanted to see something happen in family and that kind of thing for himself. And he was over the game. But yet he was so clearly, and they fucking tricked him. They tricked him, okay? And what I mean by that is he started to pull away from what his handlers wanted him to do. That's the word he wants me to use. And what I'm hearing to say is we usually think of handlers like managers, agents, executives, lawyers, whoever. They're going to handle the celebrity because the celebrity can't think on their own without these people on payola, right? I'm not talking about that. He's saying energetic handlers. And he's showing me a jump rope like this. And it goes like this, and they're jumping like this over and over, and they can do things like this. They're not fully present in the physical. They're half on the astral, half in the physical. And he says he was jumping rope the opposite way of them, and they were getting mad because they were trying to contain him within these two ropes, and he was jumping in, out, and over, and doing what he wanted. This man wanted to break free. This young man, super young. Appalling that this is happening in our society. Problem is, I literally feel, now, sometimes, and I feel this is in his case, so I'm just going to use it speaking around the topic, but sometimes I feel people are born into energy loops or karmic cycle loops, reincarnation loops with people who want to take their energy, and our memories are wiped when we come. So we can have past life memories, but for the most part, I don't specifically remember who you were and why I didn't like you and why I did like you. You know, I just go about my life in this life. So when you're a little kid, you just go about your life in this life. I feel like he came in and there was a contract taken on him and an expectation of him that he didn't fully agree with and said so. I fully agree with this, and I'm telling you like it is. Like I'm straight up telling you. He was conscientious in his thinking. He had discernment. I can see you. Okay. So the discernment is still there. You are not hiding from him. They can see on the other side. So you don't ever have to worry about that. My friend, you will be taken down. So somebody he considered to be a close confidant who I don't think is famous is going to be taken down. My friend, you will be taken down. This guy's kind of, I don't know how tall this kid was. So, but the guy I'm seeing is kind of taller and thinner and more angular looking. Not a famous person that I can tell, but I'm not in that world. So I don't really know everybody. But I do feel he was backing away from it, and they were using me like a cartoon. So for some reason, I feel when they got a hold of him and his energy, they were able to take it. And I would not be surprised, and I don't know if this is true, if they're going to create a cartoon with this young man. I like myself in cartoon, but that's not what I wanted to do. So there's either some kind of a game that uses his character. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say this straight out, and I'm going to sound fucking crazy. Somehow his consciousness or the essence of who TakeOff was, the essence, the energy, okay? That energy was created into some sort of video game where you can now watch him. And I don't know if it's been released. You guys are going to have to tell me. I have no idea what, I really don't even watch video games. I mean, I'm from the Pac-Man days, but that's way back there, by the way. But anyway, I'm feeling like he was put into cartoon or character or a video game. And we're putting him there. He was an experiment that way. And I don't know what that means. But he is not there. But they think he's there. But he's not. That's what they were looking for. And he's also saying, really watch who you talk to about your creative stuff. Watch it, brother. Watch it. And I can't say that right, but watch it. Because one of those people, which I take to be an executive, a lawyer, whoever, behind the scenes, a suit, I feel ordered this with him. But it's because it had to happen at the after party after the party. The after party after the party. The after party after the party. I feel like it was filmed. I'm positive it was filmed. It would be filmed because everybody has a phone. But it was filmed differently. Because it's harnessing that energy. And here's another thing I'm going to say. There was, and this is written in records, there was a woman who allegedly was a nurse who tried to offer or administer help. It's a good thing that she did because she blocked. They didn't want this to happen. Random, she was there. So somehow she'd been called there energetically and probably was a last minute decision with her. And I don't even know who she is, but she blocked the frequency of him leaving the physical body so they couldn't attach to it. That's why he could see them and they couldn't see him, but they were looking for him. I'm talking on the etheric level, astral level, right outside of Earth, because the veil was so thin, or right outside of the planet, right outside of the energy that we have here. So she blocked them physically from being able to see the energy leave and get satisfaction from that. That's what happened. You're going to watch some of these rappers that were close to this young man. It's going to start to unfold. And a lot of backstabbing, but we know this. We know this in the entertainment industry. A lot of backstabbing. He just didn't expect it from you. I didn't expect it from you. The girl that set him up, that he had just randomly got to know, I don't think she fully set him up. I think she was sent in to meet him, just exactly what he wanted, to keep an eye on him, to parrot it back, to let them know if he decided to not go to the after party after the party. I feel like that's what her thing was. So there's a location tracker in a very human, real sense on him. Sounds crazy, but I feel like he was going to bail from his career and step away from it. That's actually what I feel happened. The energy is super, super interesting because they are now taking the frequency of the music, the videos, and placing it into caricature or cartoon and placing it into a different type of video. So they are harnessing this. They are replaying it in a different level or a different dimension and sending it back here. That's why we don't understand the tone. We can't hear the tone, or we can't identify it. Therefore, we respond without understanding what we're actually responding to. That's what I'm seeing, the frequency. But this was definitely, my number was up. So now I'm taking it as like the calendar, flipping through the calendar, my number's up. Okay. That's what I think happened. I definitely feel like it was a hit. I'm going to say that it was a hit. This was not like a random, like, oh my God, I accidentally shot my gun. No. And the person who did it is a scapegoat. That's not even the real person who did it. There's an executive up above, much older, late 70s, maybe even older. That's the orchestrator of this. And remember this. Remember this, people. Remember. I'm not doing that. That's what I'm being told. He's getting feisty. Okay, remember this. Sometimes when you don't fulfill your contract, they're going to take it from you anyway. So if they have to run around with your dead ass body on a stretcher making money for people to view you, then that's what they're going to do. And he's kind of referencing Elvis with this, which is really weird. Does anybody know if he was an Elvis fan? Strange. But they're kind of referencing that he is being paraded energetically, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work because, yeah. Okay, so he was changing. I have no idea what religion he was, and I would have no idea about that. But he was changing his belief system. So he was going from whatever he was into almost a Buddhist type of meditative mindset. That's where I see it. He's very philosophical. So very thinking. I need to think out of this. I need to contemplate this. I need to move myself with this energy, not this energy. So he was actually changing quite a bit and they couldn't control him. And so when they can't control you, they're going to come your numbers up. That is my reading on Takeoff, my first reading. That's just my initial impression. I had to get it out there because you guys wanted it, so I did. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.